Well, we're back after a real short break, everybody, with another quick episode of the Conspiracy Keepers. I know we had a lot to say in the last episode on August 4th, and now I know Scooter had a ton of stuff that he wanted to touch on, and I'm excited to hear that. I was a little scared about the last thing he brought up about Chandra Levy, just because I just cleared my whole internet browser.
There is no Chandra Levy snuff film.
All right.
Sherlock was 1691's got it under wraps. We're good to go.
All right. Well, Scooter, I know you were talking with Joe off air, and you've got a lot of stuff, so I'm giving you the floor. And Joe, you chime in. I'm going to reserve my judgment in my mind unless something really hits me strong, and then I'll jump out and slap.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right. So I joked in the last episode about, so we have a time machine, and everybody wants to take the time machine, of course, and you go back and extract Hitler either before 1939 in September, or you just get him as a kid or whatever. But our memories are our memories until they're changed with the argument of perception is reality. So I want to go back to the summer of 1975. And for me as a child, it was at the summer of 1975. I'm 7 years old. And yet I can remember it like yesterday. And I say that because of events that were traumatic. Trauma-based events will often solidify moments in time. You'd agree with that, right, Joe?
Absolutely. Trauma events make an imprint on your brain. That's why they traumatize people for mind control. And that's why they develop a lot of times photographic memories, because their memory is so vivid when they traumatize them over and over again.
So, and we've joked off air and his friends about growing up Irish Mafia. And when you're 7, you don't know what's up. You know what's up, but you don't, because you can't articulate it with a child brain when you're dealing with adults. So, and I've told the story, I think, at least I did on my show, about Uncle Momo. And so it's June of 1975, and Uncle Momo goes bye-bye. None of us know why. Fast forward a half a dozen weeks, and I say that in the interim because the 4th of July took place. 4th of July, 1975 takes place in Prescott, Wisconsin. Why? Because a year from now, it's going to be the nation's bicentennial, and the family is now planning a giant party for the following year. By the way, you kids are going to all be a part of this, yada, yada, yada. But for the 4th of July, they were in 1975. We're all going to come back out to the house, or to the summer house, in a couple weeks, because the United States and the Soviet Union are going to meet in space. The Soyuz project, Apollo-Soyuz, where the Apollo spacecraft and the Soyuz spacecraft were going to link in space. This was going to be just like Skylab. As kids, if you're outside in the country from the city and you look up in the sky, you'll be able to see it. Do you guys remember this?
I do. Yep, I absolutely do.
All right. So now all the kids are excited. I mean, we get to come back out to Prescott in 2 more weeks to watch this. So we all remember where we are. Because I talked with one other relative who is 2 years older than me. Now fast forward approximately 10 days. I also go back to 1975 and how we were raised as kids. What happened, guys, if the phone rang during or after dinner?
You didn't answer it.
And or you answered it with anger because you don't call this time of day or night, correct?
Right. That's right.
It is now, fast forward to July 30th, 1975. The phone at the house began ringing at about 2:30 in the morning, Central Time, which had never happened. Even as a child, from the time you can start remembering crap at 3 years old, phone doesn't ring, let alone at 2 in the morning. By the following morning, now July 31st, a half a dozen relatives that we would never see except for 4th of July or Christmas have come and gone from the house. In the next 12 hours, the world is brought to the what? Jimmy Hoffa is missing. By August 2nd, all of the kids are gone. We have been sent, in my case, to my grandparents, and the non-family, the maternal grandparents. Others were sent out of state. All the kids are gone. Within a week, so on the news now, because you can't not hear the news in the kitchen while the parents are making dinner and trying to have conversations, but they can't because there's kids in the house. The world keeps saying that Jimmy Hoffa is missing. The family just keeps pointing out that Jimmy is gone. And I bring this up because of the relationship that the family had, not with his disappearance, but with the Teamsters, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, that in 1975, the United States economy and the world revolved around. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
You couldn't get it moved anywhere in the United States without the use of the Brotherhood.
Yeah, right.
Now, in 1975, whether you liked Jimmy Hoffa or not, whether you approved of the methods or not, the organization he built or not, the people he surrounded himself with or not, at the end of the day, the mafia and the unions that they had infiltrated and were using, the workers at the end of the day benefited, because the mafia only wanted to wet its beak and take a small portion of the vast wealth that the Brotherhood would provide. And it provided legitimate business cover. Instead of being a thug, you're a union representative and you're a union delegate, right?
Right.
There are those that argue that Eisenhower and Kennedy were most likely the last presidents that we had, whether by choice or design, by assassination or default. Fast forward 50 years, September 11th, 2001, in organized crime, everyone breathed a sigh of relief on September 2nd, because we're going to go chase towel heads in caves across the world. Mafia got a pass. And for the last 20 years, organized crime in the United States, Italy, and elsewhere has continued to thrive because it has not been under attack by the Justice Department, FBI, and et cetera. Fast forward to 2021 with the new mask mandates and all of this nonsense. Is it not interesting that if we're going to make sure everybody gets their 1-9er shot, but union are exempt, in particular, teachers unions. The teachers unions, Joe, now are a mafia gone horribly awry. Uncle Momo, Don Carlos, Santos Trafficante, even Al Capone, who wasn't allowed to sit at the table of the commission, would go, "Are you guys nuts?" The teachers unions are no longer wetting their beak off the teachers, and they're not working hand in hand with government. The teachers unions are steamrolling government and any within their union who speak out. What happened, Joe?
Well, the mafia that we knew back in the 60s is not the same as it is now. I mean, it's not the same thing. They reorganized into something very different.
Yes.
But they absolutely did. John Kennedy would not have been elected without the mafia and the mafia's help, because his dad, Joe Kennedy,
No.
was in bed with the mafia. I mean, he was basically a mobster himself. But you're right. Kennedy was the last president that had any power. And the people in control did put him there, but they expected him to do their bidding. When he didn't do that, they decided to take him out. And at that time, they put in a lot of stops to make sure no president makes his own decisions ever again. Now, they'll let you do a few things. They'll let you come up with your own plan, but you have to run it by them. For instance, Bobby Kennedy, had he had been elected president, there would have been no fake moon landing, because that wouldn't have been what he would have done. And Nixon was in power at that time, and he decided to go ahead and fake the moon landing. That was his administration's idea, and his higher ups were okay with that. So, yeah, Kennedy was the last one that made decisions on his own. They don't do that now. Presidents follow orders. They don't give orders. And the mafia has reorganized, although they still run things. They still own a major, all the betting and gambling and bookies, because the bookie that you use is not the guy that's in control. He's way below the guy that owns the operation. So in that sense,
8 to 12 and sometimes 20 people removed.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right.
It's not 1 or 2 people removed. It's 8 to a dozen, and it can be, if it's a large organization, you could be running numbers or taking book, and that payment is getting kicked up as many as 19 times up the chain to create that 20th time, you being the first. It could literally get kicked up that many times.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And the thing that's interesting, especially what we see going on right now, is because they are basically trying to hook people into gambling with sports betting. We see all kinds of commercials for it and all that kind of stuff.
So the mafia, as a child, you don't discuss any of this. Why? Because it's a secret, you putz.
Right.
Now it's not a secret. And I'm wondering what lessons can be learned. Yes, it is so in your face, over the top. Again, download the free app, bet $1 and win 1,000. Again, if you were a mafia goomba sitting on the corner with a fedora and a trench coat pulling that, you'd get pinched.
Yeah, right. Well, the interesting thing about it, because of all this sports betting, is you would be shocked. Most people would be shocked. You probably wouldn't be, as how many athletes themselves are involved in sports betting and run up these huge, massive debts. Because remember, when they place their bets, they do it on credit. So you might.
Didn't I just send you another link of another guy another sports figure who got caught betting on the online crap?
Yeah. I just saw that the other day.
Okay.
Just one bad apple. They're all doing it.
Yeah. So this is what they hope happens. They want that athlete who, and a lot, like I say, a lot of athletes are in sports betting.
You in debt.
They want you in debt, and they want you in debt so bad that they can't get out. Now, what happens when that athlete gets into debt too much and he can't get out? Well, he doesn't go to his book anymore. He goes to the guy that runs the operation. He says, "Dude, all right, tell you what, you owe me this much money. You're into me.
I'm going to make it. I'm bringing you a favor. This is a gift.
Yeah,
all you got to do is this.
Right. It says you owe me. You owe me over $1 million. Okay, is what the guy that runs the operation is going to say to the athlete. You owe me $1 million. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, I'll tell you what. In that big game, that big college game that you're playing, or that big sports, big game coming up this weekend, tell you what, you throw an incomplete pass when you need to. You do this, you shave this point, you make sure that your team doesn't cover the spread or does cover the spread, and then we're even, okay? So that's how this game works. They want these athletes to get in trouble, so then they can go ahead and fix the games.
But Joe, but we're never really even, because we will keep you under our thumb. You came to us, you asked for a favor, we gave you the favor, you're ours to use until we bust you out. And busting you out means squeezing you for every dime that you got, and you're left for dead. And if we have to leave you dead, then that was your choice too. We at least left you the option of just leaving you for dead, but now you're claiming you're going to go squeal. Well, sorry. Uncle Momo, 2 to the back of the head. In your own house. Right. You got clipped in your own house.
But yeah, and that's always the threat. But usually, from what I understand by the people, the context I have, usually it doesn't go that far. They don't have to go
Well,
that far. The athlete
because
usually cooperates and they get what they want.
well, what do you think is the truth behind the death of Michael Jordan's father?
Oh, absolutely, it was involved in gambling. Absolutely. There was no question about that one. That was because of his gambling debts, and they knocked off his father. There's no question about that. And that's why the NBA said at the time, Michael, we don't want to deal with this, because even the NBA didn't want to deal with the people that Michael Jordan was dealing with. So they said, tell you what, Michael, we're going to bring you back eventually, but we want you out of the league for a little while. That's why he went to go play baseball. He had to. The NBA didn't want this heat from, because they knew that his father got killed because of his gambling debts. But same thing, Michael Jordan at the time was basketball. So they can't get rid of him. They don't want to get rid of him. They're going to bring him back and say, we want this to cool off for a while. You go play baseball for a while and we'll bring you back, which is exactly what happened. But yeah, you're
Now,
exactly right.
oh no, I did. I was asking because again, and listeners, I'm sorry, we've now jumped 8 different topics from Jimmy Hoffa and Sam Giancana, Bobby Kennedy to now to Michael Jordan death.
But they're all linked. They're all linked
I
together.
know. But hey, Backlash, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just like, this is actually a really good segment, and it's like scaring the crap out of me. A lot of different areas.
The story is that Michael Jordan, of course, is a degenerate gambler. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't like the use of that term. The story is he got in so deep that they pressured Jordan to do something. He said no. So, all right. And his father's gone, has gone. And there's nothing we can do about it. He's gone. And that Jordan stepped back in line. Now, that can't be proved. And supposedly that's BS and you're crap and I've never heard that. Well, Joe, you and I did not rehearse this conversation. We didn't even bring up Michael Jordan. I want to talk about Mafia versus Kennedy and Eisenhower time versus the teachers union and now. That's it. And we already got to Michael Jordan, the NBA, and the bad apples.
Right. Well, once again, I just like I was saying, is because it's kind of hard to separate them sometimes because all these events are linked to each other. So that's why it's easy to go off on things we didn't initially intend to talk about because they are linked. And sometimes it brings people in to understand what we're talking about if we bring in into more contemporary terms that they would understand, which is Michael Jordan.
And just like flipping the narrative of the script of the New World Order. So what lessons can we learn? What part of the script can be flipped with conventional mafia behavior, tactics, etc., and styles to now? Since those, again, the tactic I'm seeing is with the teachers union, but it's being reversed. That the teachers union is steamrolling its own and the government for what, and now there's your argument. Well, what agenda do they have? They're burning the whole thing down. Well, that's postmodernism. Postmodernism is destruction, and that's what they want. Nobody wants to discuss that.
Yeah, pretty much, because everything that we're talking about is off the books. If you know what we're saying, it's just like, this is not something that you can go find. Well, I mean, you can probably find somebody that's writing about it, but it's really difficult to find some official documents about it. Now, because we've been doing this for so long, I've been doing this for so long, I've developed a lot of contacts in the field, and I know a lot of people that tell me stuff, and I know that they're telling me the truth, but you won't be able to go on the internet and research it and find it. So a lot of stuff that I'm telling you about are people that have firsthand knowledge or secondhand knowledge of this.
Sorry,
hold on, let me finish. Everybody that has first or secondhand knowledge of this, and it gets back to me, and that's what I'm telling you about. Yeah, I know somebody that has firsthand knowledge of Michael Jordan's dad getting hit because of Michael's gambling debts. As a matter of fact, he said, no, that's for sure what happened. It's not a theory. This guy would have firsthand information. If I were to say his name, you probably wouldn't know who he was because he's not that well known, but I still don't want to tell you who he is. I don't want you to look him up.
So is my source correct in that Michael was in too deep? They asked for a favor. He said no, so they acted accordingly?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. That's
right.
exactly what it was.
Do we know? Because I asked what the favor was, and that was not my pay grade. Do we know what the favor Michael was asked to
No.
do? That he said no.
No, we don't know that.
Fair
But we
enough.
know, yeah, no, we don't know that. But yeah, it was,
Backlash.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm over in the corner just rocking myself slowly.
Mhm.
No, have you ever heard this story that Michael Jordan's father was killed for a
No.
nefarious reason?
Never. I tend to keep my head down and look forward on my shoes. It's horrifying to think that this kind of stuff actually
And
goes
you
on.
didn't want to Google Chandra Levy's snuff film.
I'm not Googling that one now.
But getting back to Michael Jordan, because nobody really kind of linked these things together. Shortly after Michael Jordan's father was killed, that's when he decided to go and play baseball for a while. Now, why would the
Yes.
best NBA player that ever lived decide, oh, I'm tired of the NBA, let me go play minor league baseball? Nobody kind of like looked into that officially. We never saw any documentaries on it, but it's obvious when you look at the whole big picture right now. He was told, Mike, get out of here for a while. We don't want to deal with this. Go play minor league baseball or do whatever you got to do. We'll bring you back in a couple of years. That was always the intention, but we got to let this thing cool down. We
Right.
cannot let this thing get out into the mainstream, and it never did.
No.
Yeah, I never heard it.
No, right.
And to be honest, I wish I didn't hear it today.
Right. I hear you.
Okay. But in all fairness, in a pre-COVID world, if we were going to go meet for Hooters and wings and beer, or wherever we were going to go and sit down and have drinks, this is not something we ever sat and discussed. Let alone did I pitch to you guys this afternoon off air.
No.
Yeah, we
Okay.
never talked about this before, right?
Correct. Okay.
Wow.
But I will tell you, it's pretty interesting because I can tell you that I get a lot of contacts, not real often, but once in a while I get contacts with people who will email me that have been on the site, and they generally want help. They're looking for help, and I really can't help them because I'm a reporter. I don't really have that kind of power to help them or tell them where to go to get help. But that's what they're looking for. And then sometimes they just have a story and they say, where can I go and have this story run that mainstream media won't touch it? And I said, well, I'll put it on your site. So these people have been vetted. I've talked to them, and a lot of them personally, a lot of them I keep in touch with, and they will continue to email me. But they're telling the truth. I can tell when people are telling me the truth and when they're not. And these people don't want publicity, a lot of them. They're not out there to get their name out there. They just want to get their story out. And I can tell you one person, just to get back to Donald Trump, why I know that he's a handler. He's a mind control programmer, and you have to be a programmer to be that high up. All U.S. presidents know how to program their MK Ultra slaves. They all do that. That's one of their qualifications for being president. And I got an email from one of the people that Trump had programmed, and she wanted to know where she can go for help. And I said, I can put your story up there, and I did put her story on the website. But that's where I get a lot of this information. I don't just go and surf the internet and find stuff that everybody can find. I have people that I've either gone to or they've come to me and have firsthand information about something that they want to get out. And when I'm convinced they're telling me the truth, which a lot of them are, most of them are, I'll put them on the website.
Wow. And where is that website, Joe? Because that's perfect timing because we're at 24 minutes.
It's on theconspiracyzone.net. And I have that one up there that I was just talking about, the person that was a mind control slave that Donald Trump had been programming, and she was trying to figure out, how do I get away from this guy?
Well, if you get a chance, throw that
Okay.
on the conspiracykeepers.com
Okay,
site
I
as
can
well.
do that. I can do that. I will do that.
Gentlemen, it was great talking to you. I'm glad it was a couple of weeks since the last one because I finally came down, and now I'm back with my blood pressure up again. So
Right.
thank
Now,
you
wait a
very
minute.
much.
Backlash, why? This is like really old news. It's been at least a half a dozen years ago since this even is it 10 years ago since Michael Jordan's dad died?
I don't
God,
remember what
it's-
year
it's-
that was. It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while since he was playing baseball and went to the minor
We were
leagues. Yeah,
still at Alice. We were
Yeah.
still at Alice. So
That's
that's
right.
that's 14 years ago.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem that long. So again, this is very old news. So I mean, seriously, of all the stuff we've kind of exposed or talked about or reminded listeners of things that have happened they may have forgotten, why is this okay? Now I'm creeped out again.
Well, I think it's interesting. Even at 14 years, as we get older, 10 years, 14 years, 10 years, that's not a long time. It just seems like we say that was 10 years ago, but that goes by pretty quickly. So, yeah,
Think how long ago it was for 9/11, and that's still
yeah,
raw.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. So,
All right, but but backlash. Why does it freak you out?
Just, I mean, everything you were talking about with the mob and everything else, and then into sports and gambling, it's just like, to me, it's unfathomable that there are these kind of people out there,
I know.
and in every walk of life, and that's
Yeah, right.
that's just, maybe it's just the good in me. It scares the living bejesus out of me, to be honest.
I can understand.
Oh yeah,
that.
the evil like this is allowed to fester.
Yeah, I can understand that. Absolutely.
So, well, gentlemen, unfortunately, we have to cut this short. Thanks for another great episode of the Conspiracy Keepers. We will hopefully, because of some things that Joe is in the middle of doing, we will have to adjust our schedule. And next week for me looks really good. Monday, well, not Monday, but Wednesday, Thursday, possibly.
Okay.
But we'll talk
Joe,
more
we
here in
just-
just a second.
Joe,
Okay.
we could put backlash on assignment. Just if he doesn't want to Google it, we could just send him off to get a copy of the film.
Well,
Nope.
maybe so.
You and your kilt could go for a walk in the woods in upstate New York with Chappaqua 1691, and you could bring back a copy for us.
Thanks for the offer, but I'll pass. I appreciate it. Thanks,
Why not?
gentlemen.
All right, guys.